Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is one of the finest poems of Robert Frost. It was written in 1922 and was published in 1923. He wrote this poem while living in the village of Franconia in New Hampshire. It seems that he was inspired to write the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by watching the woods near the village, and the village mentioned in the poem is probably Franconia. Frost claimed that he wrote this poem in a single sitting one night, though it was a very tough task to do so. So let's get started the poem. Whose woods are these? I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. The narrator of the poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, stops by some woods on his way one evening. The narrator knows the owner of the woods and even where he lives. He is a bit relaxed, thinking that the owner of the woods lives in the village, and so he won't see the narrator stopping here. Therefore, he can continue watching the natural beauty of the snow-covered woods. Let's move on to the second stanza. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. In the second stanza, the narrator of the poem says that his dear horse, whom he is using as his carriage, must think strange to stop here between the woods and the frozen lake in a dark evening, as he normally stops near a farmhouse. The narrator calls his horse my little horse, as it is dear to him a pony. It may also suggest that the speaker is a humble and ordinary citizen and not afford to buy an expensive horse. He also personifies the horse by indicating that it has a thought process and also referring it as he in the next stanza. In this stanza, the narrator suggests that the weather is cold enough to freeze a lake. The expression darkest evening could suggest several things. Maybe the narrator was very depressed due to his long journey or the cold weather. Otherwise, it may also refer to the longest night of the year, the night with the most hours of darkness. In that case, it is 21st or 22nd December, when the winter solstice occurs in the northern hemisphere. Let's move on to the third stanza. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The horse is shaking its head, ringing the bell attached to its harness, as if he is asking his master whether there is any problem, as it is unusual for him to stop by the woods in the darkness. And the important thing is this stanza of the poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, is the sound imageries. There are only three sounds: the sound of the harness bell, light wind, and the snowflakes. Let's move on to the last stanza. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Here in the last stanza, the narrator describes the woods using three adjectives: lovely, dark, and deep. This indicates that he is enjoying the scene and wants to do so for long. But he has other responsibilities in life. He has to go a long way before he sleeps, so he can't get the enjoyment for long. He has to move on. And the important thing is that the poet repeats the last line to attract the attention of the readers. In this very last line lies the allegorical interpretation. Here, sleep may refer to death. We in our life have many things to look at with awe, many things to enjoy, but in most cases, we cannot simply lifespan, so we have to move on.